There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Perfect. I can. Dude, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Hey, we're both wearing white. I like it.
Huh?
I said we're both wearing white. I like it.
Yes, dude, I'm very excited for this episode. Welcome back.
Appreciate you having me, bro.
I'll promise you that our next round has to be IRL. But
Yeah.
the original plan was I know I was going to have you back. I did not want to have you online. I really wanted to get to meet you and record in person. Uh, but I really wanted to make this round to happen again.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have round three over there. I'm excited to go over there, bro. Like I'm excited to fly out there and experience
Hmm
because I've never been over there. I've never been to Mexico. So
I'm sure you'll have a great experience. Probably the best food in your life.
and
Um,
I know you're Spanish, right? I'm Spanish too.
I'm not Spanish.
You're not?
No.
That's interesting, bro. I could have swore you were.
Yeah, no, I'm not Spanish. I'm Middle Eastern, Polish, Czech Republic. I'm from all over the world.
That's interesting. I didn't know that, bro.
Yeah. Well, I'm Jewish, so my both parents, the grandparents are from all over the world.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember you spoke Spanish to me before. Like you would say certain things in Spanish. You like,
Oh, well, because we speak Spanish here in Mexico.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's why I thought you were. And you told me you've been living there your whole life. So I thought,
Mexico, yeah. Yeah. Okay, JT, let's start this. I want to talk about first your carnivore month. I know you did January, it was World Carnivore Month. I'm interested in knowing why did you ever start in the first place?
um, one because it was World Carnivore Month,
Mm-hmm.
but two, I wanted to try something new. Like I feel like I'm a mad scientist in some way. I like to try a lot of things, and like
Yeah.
if anybody that knows me personally and like really close to me, they know if I learn something today, I'll literally try it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I won't stick with it. That's like when you learn about different human personalities and the type
Mm-hmm.
of people, different types of people out there. I'm more of an action type, so I
Mm-hmm.
don't really plan things. I kind of just jump into it, but I have trouble sticking with it.
Why do you
So
think that is?
say it again.
Why do you think you have trouble sticking with it? Or is it just because?
I think that's just because like I don't have trouble sticking with everything, but it was more of the I'm quick to jump into things,
Mm.
and unlike a practical person, which will like plan it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I learned about it, and I heard good things about it, saying that brain no brain fog, fat loss, and one of my biggest goals right now is to like get leaner and
To
drop
get lean, yeah.
to drop my body fat. So I think it was those two reasons for sure,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked out really well. Like I'm the leanest that I've ever been. I'm
Oh
not where
yeah.
I want to be, but
Mm-hmm. Where do you want to be?
I think the goal is to get to around 12-13% body fat. I don't really know what I'm at now, but I'm guessing probably like 16, 17. So
Dude, if I'm not as lean as you and I'm at 11% body fat, I think you should do an in body because I think you're around like 7 or 8, actually.
really,
Absolutely.
I gotta check it out. I gotta think.
Yeah, you should visit a nutritionist or something just for you could get so you could get a in body or something.
Hmm.
Check your body fat percentage, your lean muscle mass, your bone, everything, and
Yeah,
just
that's the goal.
see how you.
That's the goal.
But I'm pretty sure you're doing good. I mean, that's why I wanted to go. You're lean as fuck. I mean, you're doing really good. And I know one of your uh, not rules, but one of your methods to lean out was doing full body workouts.
Yeah, that actually wasn't to lean out. It was
Okay.
just because it works better for me. Like I've tried all the different regimens, the strategies. Like I've tried every diet at this point, except uh,
Vegan.
yeah, except vegan diet. Would never try that diet. But
Yeah.
I've tried the splits. I've tried workout 5 times a week, 6 times a week, and to me, it just if you're trying to be a bodybuilder, you're trying to be the best, whatever. Like okay, it makes sense to be in the gym a bunch of times. But if you're building something outside of the gym, I don't think it makes sense to be there 5, 6 times a day. Like I think you can decrease the amount of time you're there, but you can increase the volume. And I
Mm,
think full body does that, because when I was doing splits and I was going to the gym 4, 5, 6 times a week, right, I was hitting each body part
mhm,
twice a week. That's
mm,
why I had to be there. But
mhm.
now that I'm hitting each body part every time I work out, I'm hitting each body part more times, but I'm in the gym less days, if that makes sense.
How are you doing that? Like how does your routine look like for full body?
So I just do a one workout for each body part, and I do around 3 to 4 sets, and I try to push heavy.
One workout for each body part?
Yeah. So like for example, today I just got home from the gym and I did shoulder press for shoulders.
Mhm.
I did chest incline dumbbell for chest, upper chest. I did tricep push downs. I did squats for legs. I did lat pull downs for back, and I did incline dumbbell curls for bicep. Like I just alternate the type of workouts I do whenever I do hit the gym.
And you're
And
hitting like different parts of the body. Like, does that make sense every day? Like, let's say, uh, your upper part of the back one day, then the middle
yeah,
part, lower back
right,
part.
right. So I'll like switch it up. So for example, like if I did, because I'm also not like super into the bro science and stuff like that. But if I
Mhm.
did like the front part, like for example, I did upper chest today, right?
Okay.
The next time I'll go to the gym, I'll probably like focus on lower chest and
Okay.
flat bench,
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Okay.
So,
Perfect. What was the biggest takeaway for Carnivore Month?
bro, the biggest takeaway had to be how quick things change. Like you can, in literally just about. I seen Joe Rogan say that you start to reap the results in about. Bro, I started to reap the results in about a couple days. Like in a couple days, I felt energetic, like no brain fog, mental clarity, no like bloating issues, no um gut issues,
Mhm.
acne, anything like that. Because I also like have eczema, and I break out usually when I like consume processed dairy, right? Pasteurized
Mhm.
dairy, whatever it's called. But when you're just eating like meat and eggs, it's crazy. And the craziest thing was the energy levels. Like you don't have a dip in energy levels throughout the day. You know how usually when you eat breakfast, then throughout the day you'll feel a little sluggish, the afternoon
Mhm.
crash or whatever. Like you literally stay there
Mhm.
the whole day. Like you'll drop a little, but you won't drop a ton like how you do with a regular diet. So I said in one of my videos that the carnivore diet, where it's just like meat and eggs, it is the top tier diet in my opinion. But I do think that that diet is extreme for most people.
Okay.
So the diet right under that. So if the carnivore diet is a 10, the diet right under, which I would give an 8, 9, would be meat, eggs, but add in like easily digestible carbs, fruit, honey, and potatoes. Right?
How'd you break Carnivore? Break.
How did I break it? It's a good question.
You just went out with your
The
week.
like the first type of carbs that I ingested,
Yeah.
I think it was either honey or fruit, or it was a Rice Krispie, because I'm like addicted to Rice Krispies.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen. How'd you feel after breaking? How'd you feel after your first source of carbs, glucose after
Bro,
one?
you feel it. Like it's crazy. You
Mm-hmm.
feel whenever you eat carbs and whenever you don't. Like obviously you don't you like for example, I break my fast every day with eggs and a banana, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you just eat eggs
Eggs.
and beef, like it's such a different feeling. It's not You're not gonna feel the crash of like eating oatmeal or something,
How'd
but
you
you feel it.
fry your eggs? How'd you treat your steak? Tallow?
No, I use a lot of butter. I use tallow for the thing about tallow is that it's not so easy to find where I'm at, so I kind of have
Okay.
to travel.
Mm-hmm.
But I use just grass fed butter, just loads of butter for the eggs, loads of
Fuck, that
butter.
was so good then.
Steak. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
A lot of fucking butter, bro. A lot of I love butter. It's like a
Ha-
magical food.
have you given raw milk a try for your eczema? Maybe.
No, because I'm in the States. So
Mm-hmm.
my mom actually traveled to Dominican Republic a couple months ago, and
Mm-hmm.
I asked her to try to bring it back, but like I don't want to risk it.
Yes, it's
So I
not
was like,
easy
you
to
know what,
travel with milk.
yeah. So I was like, you know what, whenever I travel, I'm gonna try it. But
I
yeah,
mean,
I'm in
the
the
states
States.
you can give. There's a company called Raw Farms. You can give that a try and see if you can find. I don't know if you can find in New York, but maybe give it a try to see if you can find any raw kefir, raw milk, raw butter, raw cream. I don't know.
I've tried kefir, and it's
Mm-hmm.
it's usually like A2 milk and kefir. It
Mm-hmm.
works best for me because I don't break out. It's the
Mm-hmm.
only dairy that works, and I've tried raw cheese as well.
Beautiful. Um. Okay, JT, what's your current goal right now? What you cooking?
So I have two main goals that I'm like just non-focused on. Is just increase the subscribers on YouTube, just grow the YouTube more, and
Mm-hmm.
just build a fuck ton of muscle. Like
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I'm trying to get lean and decrease the body fat, but I don't want this like feminine little like I don't know if we can I
Mm-hmm.
curse, but
No, you can curse, of course.
so like this feminine little like bitchy TikTok body. Like I don't want that aesthetic super lean. Like I want to be stocky
Mm-hmm.
and thick, but
Mm-hmm.
like lean too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the goal right now, and increase
Beautiful.
subscribers, and also this spiritual and masculine journey. I think everybody should focus on three things all at once. Some people might disagree and say one thing, but that's kind of the advice that I took.
Mm-hmm. Why are you focusing on these things?
Um, I think these are the main three things that give you purpose. And I think to be a man is to feel purposeful, is to wake up with purpose and feel like you're chasing something. So if you're chasing a good body, it's kind of like a forever thing. It doesn't end. You know,
Mm-hmm.
YouTube and building a career is for me is purposeful because I'm like sharing learning lessons and helping others and providing value. And spiritual masculinity, I think, is something that every guy should go through their own spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
One day you're going to be a father if you want kids. You have to learn how to be a good partner, right? It's something that they don't teach us in school. Nobody has ever picked up a book on how to love, but wonder why relationships don't work. Also, how to like be fulfilled within, emotional control, all these things. So I think at the age that I'm in is the perfect bracket to start building the foundations of these things so that when the male advantage does kick in, which we will talk about, it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna all the boxes are gonna be ticked. If that
Love
makes sense.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned two things I want to talk about. Let's go with the first one, which is purpose.
Yes.
Uh, and I quote, "A life with no purpose is meaningless." How do you think one finds purpose, or even looks for their purpose? How do you know that how do I know that I've found my purpose, in your view?
That's a good question. I think it's different and it varies for everybody.
Of course.
For for me, I kind of if I look at my life from my younger years to now,
Mm,
I've always kind of been doing the same thing, and that's trying, testing, and then providing what helped me to other people. Like when I was really young, you can see the baseball trophies.
mm-hmm,
Um, I was like traveling around the world playing high competitive baseball everywhere, like Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, like championship games, right? Which taught me a lot about like pressure and mental toughness and discipline and all that. But one thing that I had before that helped me get far in baseball was I had the obsession, right? Like I was a student of the game and I would constantly like study, and when I would find something that helped me, I would give it to another teammate and like, hey, you should try this, hey, you should try that, or like try to incorporate him into my training. And hey, I do this because it helps me. So what I'm doing now, sharing my learning lessons and kind of documenting my journey, I kind of always been doing this. So I think a good way is to look into your past life and
mm,
see what you've always been doing. There's also a good book called Managing Oneself by a famous business guy, Peter Drucker. He's dead now, but he also says um, one of the most important things in life is to know yourself, know what you're good at. So I think
mm,
your purpose should revolve around your natural strengths. Most people think they know what they're good at, but they're not. So I think those are some good ways to look back into your life. What have you been doing for your whole life? Kind
mm-hmm.
of tie your purpose into that, and what are you naturally good at? That's a good place to start, in my opinion. But I'm pretty sure there's better ways that other people might. Other
Yeah,
people watching this, they might think of a better way. So I'm just learning as well. So in
Of
my opinion,
course.
right now, in the stage
Mm-hmm.
that I'm in, I think that's a good way.
Beautiful. You mentioned obsession, and I think obsession is very, I think it's vilified, if that makes sense. Why is obsession not a bad thing?
I think you need it to get to where you want to get to. I think everybody that reaches the top has some sort of kind of killer mentality, kind of killer obsession to whatever it is that you're doing. Because to really get good at something, you can't like half-ass it, right? You can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You kind of
Mm-hmm.
have to like commit to it and put all your focus into that. Like if you look at the top dogs, right? In the self-improvement space, let's say Tate, E-Man, Hamza, First Man, whatever, like they're all killers, right? They all are obsessed with perfecting their craft. But if you look at sports, which I have a sports background, right? Michael Jordan, he's a fucking obsessed. He's a killer. He has a killer mentality. So you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have to have that obsession if you want to be the best, which you should, right? You should try to be the best at whatever you're doing. You should have that competitive fire in you to be the best and beat everybody. There's a lot of people that like this cope online. There's like, oh, I'm not in competition with nobody. I'm in competition with myself. Like, bro, you sound like a female, bro. Like you sound like a little girl. Like to compete is to be human, you know. So
I love that. You mentioned male advantage years, not
yes,
only in your answering one of the questions, but yesterday we talked about it. It's something that caught my eye as well with your content. And you talked about me and male advantage years. Uh, Give us a little bit on what this concept is.
yeah. So the male advantage is a concept that I learned from First Man. I know a lot of people might not know him, but he has like 300K subscribers on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
He was posting self-improvement videos like 10 years ago. People call him like the Tate before Andrew Tate. And there's a lot of people now that talk about this, but he was talking about it before. And in my opinion, he was the one that made it go like really popular. And the male advantage is like this whole concept of men getting better as they get older, as long as they put the work in. So men
Okay.
peak at an older age, right? And the ages are usually from 28 to around 35, 36. If you think about it, women, they peak around 18 to 25, right? Like once they hit 21, 22, 23, 25, it might maybe 21, 22, they're probably the most beautiful, but 25, 26, 27, they're probably a little more mature and they've been through more life experiences, but they peak at that age, right? And if most women don't take care of themselves, they kind of drop their value as time goes by. But if not for all women, but if you take care of yourself, that won't happen to you. But for men, we kind of peak as we get older because as we get older, we get into a more stronger body, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have more experience, we have more wisdom, maturity, and all that stuff. So I think is this concept of the male advantage is the only guaranteed route to live a good life.
Mm.
Because if you like Alex Hormozy says it, Ty Lopez used to say, I know he gets a lot of shit, but I used to watch him a lot. He says how you have to give yourself a long enough time horizon to do whatever you want to do. Because the
Mm.
person that says, okay, if I don't make it by 25 and I'm 19 right now, compared to the person that says, I'm going to do this however long it takes and I'm going to, give myself a longer time window, like who you think is going to win between that? This guy, the guy
The
that's,
latter.
the guy on the left is going to make decisions based off of emotions and get to 25 and start panicking. But the
Mm.
other guy on the right is kind of just like enjoying the journey and enjoying the process and knowing that it's going to come eventually if he keeps putting the work.
Mm.
That's the most
Okay.
important part of the male advantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just saying that you turn 30, 31, and you're going to be
You're
a
fucked.
fucking Andrew Tate. No, like you have to
Huh.
put the work in,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that's what you can't just like turn 30 and say, oh, like JT, you First Man, you lied. I'm 30 and I'm still a loser. Like, no, you kind of have to put the work in for the male
Mm-hmm.
advantage to kick in, right? So that's the concept.
Why'd you resonate with this concept? Like, why did it make sense for you? If it makes sense, if the question makes sense.
The reason I resonate is because I'm young. I'm 23 years old, and usually at my age, it's popular to not enjoy getting older, right? It's kind of demonized, and A lot of people don't, they once they hit their 20s, like they start getting into their late 20s, they start thinking that life is like over, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
for me, it's like, bro, I'm
It's just a
excited.
start. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Fuck yeah.
it hasn't even started, like
I
life
love that.
hasn't even started. And I know, like, if I do what I have to do now, my later years is gonna be the best years. So this is why I was saying that I think is the only guaranteed way to live life. Because if
Mm.
you right, you think about it, you see life like this. One, you make it easier for yourself. As one, you get to enjoy the process more, but you also get to take that pressure off of you
Mm.
that society puts on you. Like, oh, you have to have it figured out by 25. You have to have it figured out
Hmm.
by 26. Like, I'm not gonna say that if you don't have nothing figured out by 25, 26, and you're not doing anything with your life, like, that's okay. I'm not gonna say that. But if you're striving every single day and you're chipping away every single day, like, that's all that matters. Life
Hmm.
is a video game, and you kind of have to. The male advantage is all about building your video game character into whatever you want them to be. Like, we as men, we don't really have the advantage that like women have. And I don't want to sound like I'm a
No.
woman or anything like that, because I
Uh-huh.
know I love women, but the truth is, like, women are born with intrinsic value, like their beauty, right? I'm gonna put it like this, right? A good example is a woman can be 25, 26 right now, and she can have no skills, no job, no anything, but then she goes and get pregnant, and she has a kid, and then she decides to stay at home and not do anything but raise the kid, which she should, right? Because being a mom is the most important job. The society will like congratulate her and say, "Yeah, like, you go, girl, be a mom and all that stuff." But if the father decides to stay at home and do the same, society will like demonize him and say,
Hmm.
"Oh, you're a deadbeat. Why are you not providing, taking care,
Hmm.
stuff like that?" So we don't really have that advantage and that intrinsic value that women have. Like, nobody's flying you out to Dubai because you're a handsome man, right? So you kind of, unlike women, where you can be beautiful, have no skills, and be flown out to Dubai, right? You kind of have to build your value from the start. You have to build this like whole video game character. And some guys might not like that, but the way I see it is, yeah, they have the value from the beginning, but we kind of can become whoever we want to become. Like, if you want to be an MMA champion, you can build yourself into that. If you want to become a billionaire, like, you can build yourself into that. Like, that's the cool thing about being a man. And I think with enough time, a longer length window of time, the male advantage, I think it's possible.
Why do you see life as a video game?
Because I think life is all about leveling up. I think for me, that's the purpose of life, to become the best version of yourself and show God like the true beauty of His creation. Tate has that quote, and I 100% agree with that. Life is about leveling up and kind of just like taking everything that building and creating everything that you would want, making your life experience however you want it to be made, right? Like, men, if you really think about it, you look back into the old ages, men are conquerors at heart, right? Like, we fucking conquer shit. That's just how it has always been. Like, our ancestors went to war and fought and they won, right? So that was a video game. Like, it was a video game back then and it's a video game back now. And I think having like this mentality of life and seeing it as just this whole game of ups, downs, experiences, and all that stuff, I think is the best way to live life, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love that. There's a point that you mentioned here, which I think connects with 2 points that I have here, which is um, performing as if God is looking down at you. Correct?
Right.
Like, you're trying to
God
prove
is always
yourself.
watching. Right.
Okay. So there are 2 points here with that. A higher power is not optional, right?
Right.
And you have stop wasting time. You might be the last hope for your parents.
Right.
Can you see those two connect?
Yes.
Okay.
In some way.
Okay. So let's go first with a higher power is not optional, right? Why?
I think to avoid, and I've said this before,
And sorry, what is a higher power?
for me, it's God. For
Okay.
you, it can be something else.
Mm-hmm.
As long as just as long as you have that higher power that you're living for, something deeper than yourself, it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
necessary
Mm-hmm.
to avoid degeneracy, which is super big in today's world.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go down a righteous path, it can't just be on your own. Like a lot of people say,
Mm.
oh, like I don't want to believe in God and I can just do what feels right and wrong to me. But it's like if
I think you start to advance in that journey, and you have no other option but to see that there is a higher power.
there is you and is no other I don't think there's another way you can stay on a righteous path without living for somebody much deeper than yourself or something,
Yeah,
right?
it's really interesting. Mm-hmm.
Right. So what I was saying is like if you go off of this mortality of saying you're only gonna do what's wrong or right for you, you don't have a baseline, right? Because if let's say a rapist that rapes children and stuff comes and says, "Oh, I raped the children because it felt right to me," everybody
Mm.
demonize them.
Okay.
You kind of have to have like a baseline of what's wrong or right, and I think, in my opinion, God gives you that
The
baseline,
baseline.
yeah, and higher power and spirituality. So yeah, is if you want to avoid degeneracy, a higher power is not optional.
You've always believed in a higher power and God?
I've always believed in God. I think I'm as I get older, I'm getting more spiritual, and I'm going down that lane more
Mm-hmm.
because I'm prioritizing becoming more masculine. And a masculine guy is a spiritual guy.
Okay. Okay. That's beautiful, JT.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
so now for the second point. Stop wasting time. You might be the last hope for your parents. That is so like that's such a good point, right?
Yeah.
And then such a beautiful way. Not be. I mean, it's a way that gets you out of your bed, right? And getting
Yes.
to fucking work.
Right.
Why'd you make this video in the first place?
Because I live like that. Like I live with the
You're
mentality of
you're a single. You're only son.
no. I have brothers and sisters, but I live that mental. I live with the mentality of my parents are getting older. Like and like if my brother and my sister didn't do it, I'm kind of like the last one left. So you
Yeah.
might be the last hope for your parents. And I think becoming like being a masculine guy, the whole purpose of being a guy is to provide, is to
Mm-hmm.
give, right? Like you won't feel truly fulfilled until you give, until you provide. And I always say like I don't have mind I don't mind taking on stress if everybody around me is happy, right?
Mm.
So for you to be able to do that, you have to put yourself in a position where you can give, where you can provide, right? So maybe you are the last hope for your parents.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing you can do for your parents, the best way you can bless them is to give them a life that they've never lived, right? So yeah, that's kind of, and I've always had a strong relationship with my parents. Like they've always, they've been great parents for me since young,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's just kind of the mission that I've always had since young.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always tell, I've always said since a young kid that I wasn't going to live a regular life, and I think a big part of that, big motivation was
Is your
like,
parents?
yeah,
I love that, and I can definitely resonate with that. That's why I added that
I think a lot of young
here.
guys that are ambitious can resonate with that.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. There's a point you mentioned. No, I'm gonna go with the next one, JT. Um, you recommend people to start documenting their own journey, starting their own self improvement channel. Why? Like what? Why? First of all, what has been the biggest takeaway with yours? And maybe from that, why would you recommend someone to start documenting their self improvement journey?
It doesn't have to be so. It doesn't have to be YouTube. I think you should just pick
Anything just to share, right?
yeah pick a app and just kind of take over that app. The biggest takeaway from mine has been, I guess, just me, like how that, and that's goes back to what I said at the beginning. I kind of just jump into things, and I'm sticking with it, which I struggle with, but like how quick I jumped into it and kind of just did it because I've always had like this monkey brain of being afraid of like being in the public, and I've always enjoyed more building in the background. So, but there's a few reasons why
You wanted to put yourself more out there.
I didn't want to. That's what's been the biggest
That's
takeaway.
why you did it. That's really special. Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of what's been the biggest takeaway with me, how I've been sticking with it because I know I didn't want to do it, and I still don't want to do it to this day. Every time like I post something or I kind of just don't like it. But there's a few reasons why. The main reason I think is just to be able to. So I'm gonna give you a few reasons, but I feel like the main reason is because you can share your learning lessons for like the younger you. I know for me, the biggest reason why I started it is when I was young, like I was on a different path. I was, I always say in my YouTube channel, I didn't know there was this other life. I thought life was just one way of like drinking, smoking, watching porn, and playing video games and partying and all that stuff. I didn't know about this other life of like entrepreneurship and self improvement. So when I learned about it, I was like shocked. So when I was at that age, I needed that younger me to kind of snap me back into reality and say like being a man is hard. You have to build your value and life is not a joke, and like those type of things, and keep me on the right path. So a lot of the times when I make videos, it's to the younger me, and other people just resonate with that because they feel the same way. And I think the best thing that you can do for, rest in peace, Charlie Munger, the great billionaire, he says the best thing you can do for another human is to help them improve and help them see different ways of life, like introduce them into new ways of seeing life and new ways of thinking. So that's the main reason. That's the main reason why I think
That's
everybody should
beautiful.
start it. Another reason is the accountability that comes with it. So I know for me, there's so many times where I wake up and I don't want to go inside the cold shower. I don't want to work out. Like, bro, the cold shower, I never want to do a cold shower.
No.
I still do it, but I never want to do it. There's times where I don't want to work out. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. But then I remind myself that I kind of have to practice what I preach. It's like I'm not going to be telling you to do all these things and I don't do it. Right. So and I think there's a lot of people out there like that. Like I feel like there's a lot of influencers that just talk about what they do to other people and then they don't do it. Like I do every fucking thing that I say. Like I take a cold shower every fucking day. Like I hit the sauna, I box, I hit the gym, I eat fucking steak, eggs, and no fucking oatmeal and shit like that. So I kind of like do everything that I say I talk about. I say I do, and a big part of that is because I have an audience kind of holding me accountable, and I have to show up every day, and I'm not gonna like show up as a fraud. I don't want to. I don't think nobody wants to do that. I think shame and guilt is the strongest emotions on the spectrum, and I think shame will come from that. Like if you have if you're documenting, you're building in public, you're talking about all these things, but then in your real life you're not doing it, you'll feel shame from feel guilty from that. So accountability is a big one. I would say another reason is the social aspects that come from it. So self improvement is like, as we know, is very lonely. Once you get on self improvement, you start better in your life. You start to realize that 99% of people are like fucking assholes. Like they live like shit. They
They're
live like,
average.
yeah, like they live like degenerates, and you no longer start to resonate with them. So you kind of have to separate yourself. But if you're documenting your journey, like self improvement is lonely, but it doesn't have to be, right? And a big part of something that helps with that is social media, where we have the opportunity for the first time in history to reach so many eyes. So documenting your journey, putting yourself out there will allow you to find people on the same mission as you, because there's guys out there just like you that are lonely and looking for guys just like them, right? So that's another good reason. Um, the last reason I would say is I just think you would be a fool to not like play the social media game. There's so many people that have social media and they just use it to scroll like a fucking dickhead, right? They just fucked up posture just scrolling all day.
Mm-hmm.
I probably have fucked up posture right now.
I probably have a fucked up posture right now as well.
But I think if you're gonna play the game, you might as well try to win it. You know, at this point in age, attention is a currency, and the person that gets the most eyes will make the most money, will
Mm-hmm.
create the most impact. It just is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have social media, like if you don't have social media and you don't be on social media, fine. Like Hamza's girl, the big YouTuber for people that know him, his girlfriend doesn't have social media. So respect out to her, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's mentioned there a couple of times. But if you have social media and you have accounts, why not just document whatever you're doing?
Do
Like
something, yeah.
do something, do something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the biggest reasons why I started it, why I think you should start it too.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And tying with that topic a little bit, we talked about this yesterday. Most are scared to go against the crowd, to embrace their own uniqueness, their true self. I think something that you and I resonate with is that we've been able to work with that ourselves. How come? Why do you think people are so scared to go against the crowd, to be unique, to not have to constantly fit in?
I think we're going to talk about this, I know, in the video, but having low testosterone impacts it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
People might not realize that. They might just think about testosterone as like, oh, is this whole sex hormone and muscle gains and stuff? But testosterone affects your bless you,
Thank you.
your mental health a lot, and having low testosterone makes you weak and low ambition, right? So if you don't have ambition, you don't have high ambition, you're not gonna want to do what's different. You're not gonna want to stand,
Mm.
wait, like you're not gonna want to go against the tide. Also, low testosterone makes you controllable, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you're easily controlled. So with low testosterone, if people say go to school, do this, do that, you're more likely to do it. But if you have high testosterone, you're more likely to say like, nah, fuck that, I'm gonna do
Mm-hmm.
what I want to do, which is why they don't want high T men. They drop the testosterone averages every year.
They
And,
want obedient men.
right, exactly. It makes you very, very controllable and like weak and feminine and soft. So
Mm-hmm.
ambition is a big one. Like I said, bro, there's like, I think this is the first generation of men that like don't have stronger purpose and a stronger desire to fight for something, because they also don't, this is another concept we can go into, but we also don't have like something to work hard for anymore. Before, if you look at our ancestors and stuff, they would go out and look for food and slay dragons, and because they have to bring food back for their woman and their family.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, like people are more, there's more single people than ever, there's more childless people than ever. Men don't kind of have to work hard for
Mm-hmm.
things anymore, right? Like you don't have to be a super top 1% man to attract a woman anymore, because casual sex and online dating and stuff like that. And I think is a big part, because if you're a guy and you see you being a 5 can still get a shitty job, but is a job, pays the bills. You can still attract a 6, a 7, a woman that can give you sex and give you everything, right? You may not be fulfilled with her, but she's gonna be there. She's gonna give you everything you want, right? You can basically, government is gonna help you, right? With government helps and all that stuff. You can be a low quality man and still get certain things in life in this day and age. You can still survive, and being able to that, I think that allows men to do the bare minimum. That's the
That's a really good point. Mm-hmm.
if you know that you don't have to do much and you can still get what you want to get,
You're not
all you're
going
gonna
to.
do is the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a big part of this, a big blame for this is women. Like if women watch your podcast and they're out there, like I think I think you guys should become more
You should
strict.
ask for more. Mm.
Yeah, you guys should like ask for more and be more strict and say no. Like for you to have privilege to me, like it's a privilege to be with me. So for you to get close to me, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I promise you, men will fucking work harder and they'll like have more ambition to try to improve themselves. But if you're just letting anybody sleep with you and get close to you, and like they're gonna do the bare minimum because they don't know they know they don't have to do much,
Mm-hmm.
right? They don't have to do much, right? So I think that's a big reason. I think when it comes to this topic, people might not talk about that, but I think it's a big reason. I think men doing the bare minimum and still getting away with it is a big reason why people aren't willing to go against the tide and be different, because they're just settling. They're settling for like comfort. It's easy to go to school and get a job, but it's hard to build a business. It's hard to, eat eggs and steak when everybody says it causes heart disease. It's hard
Mm-hmm.
to do the different thing and,
Mm-hmm.
and go the unconventional route.
It's not only hard, but people are scared,
It's hard,
right?
it's scary. Yeah.
It's scary to not be part of the tribe
Right.
and to maybe
Exactly.
have to build your own tribe.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's human nature to be a part of a bigger tribe, like you said. So once we get out of it, ancestors always, if they leave the tribe,
You're
they
fucked.
thought they were gonna die, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a human instinct. But again,
So
having high testosterone will help with that.
yeah. So JT, in your opinion, how do we reprogram ourselves to all the bullshit that's been already sunken into our minds?
This is you told me this last night that we were gonna talk about this, and I started thinking about this question because it's a good question, but I
How'd you
didn't.
do it yourself?
I think I always been a person that has
Questioned?
been disagreeable. So
Mm.
I took a personality test a while back, like 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and one of my highest traits were conscientiousness, which is like it's a sub trait of four things, and it's prudence, making good decisions, working hard, and all that's organized and all that stuff. But my second highest trait was my agreeableness was low. Like I'm very disagreeable. So I think the for starters, you have to brainwash yourself into doing the opposite of what everybody else is doing, right? I, I,
Okay.
I think you kind of have to,
Why? Why should we do that?
because most people don't know what the fuck they're doing. Most people are doing the wrong thing. Most
Mm-hmm.
people are eating oatmeal for breakfast, right?
Because
most
that
people are
person's eating oatmeal as well.
right. Most people are avoiding eggs and steak. Most people are going to school. Most people are getting in debt. Most people are drinking alcohol and partying every weekend. Like you could to Carnivore Aurelius, he says this. You kind of to be normal in today's world, you have to be crazy. That makes sense. You gotta have to
Okay.
do the opposite of what everybody else is doing, right? So for starters, if you're right now watching this and you're doing something that everybody else does, just immediately stop. Stop doing. If everybody else is going one way, you should probably go the other way. That's as simple as I can point it, as I can put it. And another way to start is to be curious, because you kind of need that level of curiosity to pull back the curtains and see like what's really going on. Like most people kind of just live life and they exist, right? Like Seneca says, people just kind
Yeah.
of exist and don't really like live life.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, oh, food, oh, school. Like they don't. Okay, where did the food come from? What does this
Mm-hmm.
food contain? Why do we like? They don't have extra questions. That's why they kind of just like stuck in the matrix and just do what everybody else wants them to do. So you're gonna have to have that level of curiosity to want to seek more.
Mm. No, that's a really good point. That's actually a really, really good point, JT.
Appreciate it.
I know you're really excited for this one. Testosterone and fertility, they're retardedly low. Like it's
Right.
stupid, right? And I think it ties to the same point. Everyone's doing the same. Everyone is the same. And they cannot question the reason why testosterone is so low based on, I mean, the only thing they can see is what they're told again and again and again and again and again. And at
They
this
don't
point,
fucking
we're
question
being
it. They just
no, at this point,
ignore.
we're being told testosterone is really bad for us, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
so what do you think are the overlooked causes for, I'm going to say for men, but for testosterone and fertility in men to be so low?
I think there's a bunch of causes. I don't think it's just
Absolutely.
one, right? I think the food that we eat, full of grains and like
It's not even real.
yeah, grain, bro. You know what's crazy about the food pyramid? You look at it and it's completely fucked. The steak, eggs, and red meat, and all that stuff is at the bottom, but grains
Is
and
at the bottom, and sometimes it's not even there.
it's not even there. But grains and vegetables and all that stuff is at the top, bro. They're like literally treating you like a peasant. You know, back then they used to feed peasants grains
Like a
because it
peasant
makes
and
you
like a
lazy.
sheep.
Yes, it makes you slow and lazy. That's what they're treating you like a peasant. So I think the food is a big part of it. I think the water, right? Tap water is crazy how most people are still drinking tap water and it's filled with birth control, lead, heavy metals, fucking
Yeah.
estrogen. You know what's insane about tap water? I was actually watching a Hamza video, and he said that once he stopped drinking tap water, his estrogen levels decreased by more than 40 to 50%, which is insane.
It's been a while since I've seen one of his videos, but I think the last one I saw is that he had like titty matter removed from his.
Yeah, estrogen removed.
That
Yeah,
is crazy.
insane, bro. He had a fuck ton of estrogen in his nipples and gynecomastia. You know, that's rising too in young men. Like we're not supposed to like have mass in our
Yeah.
us. But you see most of these guys, they kind of have that. They kind of have like these sexy hips.
Yeah.
So water is a big one. Estrogen, if you know about it, is a female hormone and it's anti-testosterone. So tap water, I think sedentary lifestyle as well. You know, most people don't really move around anymore. If you think about our ancestors, they were out all
Up
day.
and running.
Yeah, they were in the sun walking 20,000 steps per day. Nowadays,
So much more.
yeah, so much more. Nowadays, you'll be lucky to the average person walk 5,000 steps. Like everybody's just inside under blue light all day. Avoiding the sun, right? Because the sun is one of the biggest producers of testosterone, but we're told that it causes cancer. Fragrances, cosmetics, all these things that are filled with phthalates and man-made chemicals that are terrible for your hormones. Receipts, plastics. You want to hear something crazy about receipts? So every time I don't ever touch receipts because if you don't know, it's filled with BPA, a man-made chemical that's anti-testosterone as well, and
it stays for you forever almost.
It stays with you forever. And BPA is mostly found in two things: plastics and receipts. So I don't ever touch receipts. And now they're actually starting to force you to take a receipt, which is crazy. The other day I was buying like my normal
Man,
steak.
I don't like Mexico City, but thank God I'm not in the U.S. as well.
They do it over there as well?
No. I just don't like Mexico City in general, but I'm not dealing with that bullshit.
Bro, she told me, oh, no, you have to take the receipt or I'm going to get in trouble. That's what she told me. I'm like, oh my God, that's insane.
Why don't you just run away or something?
Yeah, no, I didn't touch it. I think I like grabbed it with my sweater or something. But that's a big one. What's another one? Polyester is a big one as well. Clothing, like I have polyester clothing. You know, these like the stretchy material that's found in mostly gym wear as well. Like a lot of these women that wear these like sports bras and stuff, it's probably all polyester. But one thing I think you should like I'm gonna eventually go all cotton, but for sure I prioritize underwear cotton. Like no polyester underwear because it's right next to the testicles. So that's a big one. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons, bro. There's a lot of reasons.
And I think we talked about most of them before that question as well.
Right.
Not being competitive with other men as well. I think it's a huge competitive hormone, right?
Right. Exactly. And I was just about to. No, go ahead. Finish.
No. You please. That was just my point.
I was just about to say that also the things that decrease our testosterone is not only the physical things, like it's also how you carry yourself, how you move in the world. Like if you're ever this timid, shy, quiet guy, that decreases your testosterone levels watching porn, constantly jerking off, constantly increasing your prolactin. And
what do you think about the people who say that jerking off is actually really good for you?
Yeah, I seen that the nofap deniers, right?
They look
Like,
incredible themselves, right?
yeah, they're like, I don't know, bro. That's like, I don't know. I have no comment to that. That's
Yeah.
kind of weird that they are literally telling people to watch porn and
Mhm.
masturbate when you can like. There's so much woman out there. It's
Mhm.
easy to watch porn and masturbate, but it's hard to like attract a woman because you know you got to improve yourself.
No, and especially after watching porn and masturbate, it's even harder to talk with to women. They're even
Right.
more awkward. You can't look at them in their eyes. It's a huge rabbit hole, a huge paradox over there.
Yeah. The I always say the biggest benefit to nofap is the self image boost that you get from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the confidence and all that stuff. It's like you start to see yourself
Something
more.
better. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you start to see yourself better, and how you see yourself is how you act in the real world, right? One of the I was gonna mention this before we move on. One of the biggest ways to increase your testosterone that a lot of people don't talk about is modify your cortisol, right? So
Learn to maybe control it. Okay, yeah.
right, so
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people they think about increasing testosterone and they say, "Oh, I got to do this, I got to do that," but really the best way is to just lower your stress levels, right? And the best way to lower your stress levels throughout the day is to properly breathe, right? Take deep, full breaths, like literally into your stomach, where your balls are literally moving for God,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So we most of us we take what 30, 40,000 breaths a day, and we do like these little soy boy feminine shallow breaths, right? You
Or
do
mouth read.
right. You kind of like have to take these deep breaths. So
Mm-hmm.
breathe like a king. We read the way of the superior man.
Talking about porn, I appreciate your accountability here, but I saw you released an episode where you talk about relapsing with nofap, right?
Yeah,
Um, good shit for making that video, by the way. Like,
yeah.
good shit. Seriously.
Appreciate you,
Yeah.
man. Kind of keep it authentic.
Yeah. Why'd you think you relapsed?
You know, I don't actually thinking about it. I don't know. I know I started getting to a point where I was like getting weird. Like any little thing was distracting me, and I don't know. I think what, and this is probably just cope. People are gonna say I'm coping, but it probably is, and I said it in the video as well. I'm probably coping, but I'm learning as I go. But I don't know. I feel like eventually you get to a weird place where you just get distracted and everything starts like bothering you, and you get horny for everything, which is not a bad thing. But I think for me, I was just like I was mad that I relapsed, but I was also looking at it in a more positive way, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
if I relapsed, where I jerked off one time really quick in the last 8 months, coming from a person that used to do this 3-4 times a day. So like
Mm-hmm.
that's a win. Because
Absolutely, it is.
we're not, like I always say, we're not doing no fat for the streak. We're
Mm-hmm.
doing it for life, right? And
Mm-hmm.
in your entire life, if you're 15, 20 years old, you're probably gonna relapse. That's why I kind of disagree with all these no fat YouTubers, because they kind of
Mm-hmm.
make you obsess over the whole no fap thing, and it makes you more likely to relapse when you're constantly focused on your streak, you're constantly focused on not masturbating. Like the one of the best way to not fap is just to not think about it, to just
Mm-hmm.
live life and
Yeah. I think
make
that's
the days count and not count the days.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things for that. It's like counting your days of nofap. It's basically like subconscious programming that you're going to have to break that streak eventually.
Exactly. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's where I kind of fucked up a little too.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hey, we learn.
yeah, that's what
Mm-hmm.
I said in the video. Like I was getting to a point where I couldn't make those videos anymore because I couldn't relate to that topic anymore. I kind of like
Mm.
mastered it. I was 8, 9 months in. It's like, what am I really gonna talk about? But now that I kind of starting over again, I can. I'm in the process again
Again,
of
I
doing it
love
with
that
you this
so
time.
much. Wow. Good shit. Good shit, dude. For my last question, what do you value most out of yourself?
It's a good question. It's a deep question.
Value, not like.
Yeah. It's either my I think it's my ambition. Yeah, my ambition.
Mm,
This is the need to like just want to
The
keep doing
drive,
better. Yeah,
the
the drive.
desire.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I think that's the thing I most value about myself, and I think I got that from a young age,
Hmm.
playing baseball and playing sports, which I think a lot of young people should do. Like I think playing sports will teach you things that nothing else will teach you.
Hmm.
Instead of fucking wasting your time doing nothing when you're young, going to school and being a bozo, like play sports, get into fighting, basketball, baseball, whatever, and you'll come out of there like with a lot of experience, which will help you as you get older because a lot of people they don't experience a lot of things we were talking about before. I was saying that I do think everybody should document their journey,
Hmm.
but it's kind of hard to do that when you don't have experience to talk about. Like when you haven't gone through enough life experience. So putting yourself out there and putting yourself in situations where you can experience a lot of different things
Hmm.
is a great thing. But I was just ranting. I just saying that to say that I think my drive and my ambition is for sure the
Beautiful,
thing I most value.
beautiful, Jordy. What an honor to uh to make a round two happen. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you having me, bro. I can't wait for round three.
Oh, I'm excited to make that happen. I'm sure you're going to be one of the first IRL.
For sure, bro. Just let me know and I'll take a flight down there right away.
Oh, fuck yeah. Thank you, JT.
Appreciate you, brother.